Hello and welcome to the Climbing Daily Friday Gear Show. Now in today's show I thought I'd keep it super simple and talk about climbing knots. Now we use knots every single time we climb if you use ropes, so here are 4 simple knots that every climber should know. But before we get started, I just want to talk about the Vertical Life app challenge that we are doing. So Vertical Life make guidebooks, both in paper form, and on their app. All you have to do is download their app, which is free, click on the challenge section, and you can see the EpicTV challenge. Sign up and get climbing. All you have to do is climb 300 meters to be entered into a prize draw, or beat EpicTV athlete Stefano Ghisolfi by climbing over 800 meters to instantly win a prize. It's super simple. There are loads of areas that you can climb in and tick off climbs, so make sure you download it and get climbing. Okay, so a disclaimer. I am not a mountain guide, safety expert, or in no way officially knowledgeable about the following knots. Tie them and use them at your own risk. I'm just a bloke on the internet. So first up is the knot that every climber usually learns first, the Retied figure of 8 knot. Now this is used for sport climbing, alpine climbing, trad climbing, ice climbing, anything where you need to tie into the rope using your harness. So to do this, I need to grab a harness and get rid of the sofa. Right, that's better. Now for this to work, you need about an arm's length of rope, and you tie the knot from this end, so make sure you don't sort of slip your hand up and down. For this to work, this camera needs to come here. So when I used to work in a climbing wall, I had a little rhyme to help me remember it and to teach others. So you make a snowman's head, you wrap a scarf around his neck, and you poke him in the eye. That will make this figure of 8. So again, snowman's head, put a scarf around his neck, and then poke him in the eye. So now I've got my figure of 8 in the rope, I need to thread this onto my harness. Now it's better to start top to bottom because you need to go through both of the loops. If you make a mistake and just do it through the bottom one, you can get kind of flipped upside down. So by doing it top to bottom, you sort of add an extra element of safety in there. Pull the 8 nice and close to your harness, and then with the end of the rope, what we want to do is follow the line of the original knot. So you can see that it starts down here. So I'm going to follow it. It then goes up. It then goes around the back. It then goes down through here. It then goes around and back up through the top. There you go. Our nice retied, refollowed figure of 8. So this itself is really, really strong, and by itself will be enough to protect you in a fall. But we do one last knot for an extra element of safety and to get rid of this tail. As you can see, this tail is quite long, a bit too long probably for what we really want, but it's a good example of how to show you the stopper knot. So the stopper knot, you take the 2 strands of rope and you simply wrap it round a few times around the top knot, and then poke it up through the top and slide that stopper knot down so it's nice and close to the original figure of 8 knot. So that's the retied figure of 8 done. Let's move on to the Girth hitch or Lark's foot. Now this is usually used to tie a sling or a piece of cord to your harness for the use of a cow's tail when clipping into an anchor. Now I know there's controversy with using a static sling in this system, but we will cover that in another video. For now, this is the Lark's foot. So you simply take the sling, take the loop, pass the loop through the harness, like that. Take the end, pass the end through the loop, and pull it tight. So this is now my cowtail, and I'll show you how it can clip onto the wall. So here's our wall. I'm just going to build a very, very quick anchor so I can show you how this can attach. So there you go, this is my equalised anchor. For the purpose of this, I'm going to tie a little knot in this sling just to show you. I know there's controversy with tying knots in slings as well. Again, covered on a separate video. Attach it into your anchor, and there you go. So a very simple knot that's great for attaching things to your harness. The one thing to remember is don't leave this knot attached to your belay loop for a long period of time. That's because it can rub on your belay loop and cause damage and wear. Take it off between climbs. Okay, so the next knot is the clove hitch, and for that I'm going to need my equalised anchor, but I'm going to get rid of the cowtail. So a clove hitch is a knot that I use all the time when building anchors or securing myself to an attachment point. So let's say that I've come up to join my partner. He's built an equalised belay and he's got an attachment point. I'm going to use this rope to attach myself to that attachment point. So I take a strand of rope, I fold it right over left in a loop, I then do it again, right over left, and I pass the two loops behind each other. I then take that, attach it in, do up the screw gate and pull it tight. I'm then attached in really nicely to that point. Now the joy of this knot is it's super adjustable. So that was a bit far, you can see I was kind of hanging off the edge. This is how I wanted to be a bit closer into the anchor. All I simply do is thread that rope back in to the point where I want it, pull it tight. You can see it's shortened it up. So really adjustable, you can make it longer or shorter very, very quickly, and it allows you to very quickly attach yourself into this anchor point. Now I also use this on top of belays. Let's say you've built your trad anchor, you've got loads of bits of equalised gear, you can then just attach in, adjust yourself towards the edge of the cliff so you can see your climbing partner and then bring them up. So there is some talk about whether this knot can come loose, and I have heard that under a huge amount of force this can sort of wiggle undone. However, the amount of force you'd have to put through it is very, very unlikely to ever take place, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. So yeah, the clove hitch, very adjustable and very, very useful. So next is a knot that looks a bit similar to a clove hitch but has a very different use, the Munter Hitch. Okay, so let's say you're doing a multi-pitch and you manage to drop your belay device. Sounds stupid, but I've done it. We've all done it at some point. So you've dropped your belay device. How do you belay your partner up to join you, and how do you abseil? This is where the Munter Hitch comes in. So I've got my belay set up and I've got my second who's coming up to join me. It's kind of similar to the clove hitch. Again, right over left, but instead of going behind, you fold them together like a book. You then attach it in, do it up, and then if I'm bringing my climber up, so on this rope, if I get down here, you can see I can pull, so I bring them up, and if they were to fall, it locks up. So the same principle can be used for abseiling. You tie the knot onto your screw gate carabiner and you can thread it through like you would on a belay device. Now there are some downsides with this knot. It tends to kink the rope up loads. So once you've used it, the rope will sort of be all twizzly and annoyingly kinky, which really gets in the way, especially if you're doing lots and lots of climbs. But as an emergency knot for when you've dropped your belay device and you need to bring your partner up or abseil down, this is an invaluable knot to know. So there you go, 4 simple knots that I reckon every climber should know. Now there are of course a myriad of other knots out there, and I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments below if I've forgotten something or if there's a knot you think I should have covered. We've got loads of ropes at the EpicTV shop and they're often at a bargain price, so I'll put a link in the copy below if you want to grab a rope. Also, we're doing 5% off certain climbing shoes at the moment. Just enter the code EPICSHOE at the checkout and I'll put a link to those shoes in the copy. And finally, one more link. Remember that Vertical Life challenge that we're running. I'll put a link in the copy below to the Vertical Life website. See if you guys can beat EpicTV athlete Stefano Gasolfi. Thanks for watching the show. It's been really cool and a great week. I'll see you soon.